Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Welcome to the Goddard Report. Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is award-winning investigative reporter Bob Mackin, publisher of TheBreaker.News. Welcome back to the show, Bob.
Thank you.
Is this kind of a bombshell? The BC Auditor General quits after her report on the legislature spending scandal?
It is. That's a story that we broke on TheBreaker.News. Before the announcement was made, I had a tip previous to this morning that something was happening, that she had tendered her resignation only 5 days after her first report on the legislative spending scandal. Her report focused on policies and procedures. Her report was not what everyone expected. She actually had battled to do this report because the Legislative Assembly Management Committee had originally planned to go find an auditor in another province and to have a forensic audit done out of the province. They wanted someone independent of BC to go and to turn over the rocks and find where things were hiding. And in this case, she protested and kept it in her office. And despite what Daryl Plekas told me, she didn't heed his warnings, and she didn't do a full forensic audit, and really looked at the process instead of going for the dirt in the middle of the floor. And there's some obvious dirt that was turned up by Daryl Plekas. Her focus was more or less on making sure that the mops and the brooms were standing up properly in the corner. She was policy and procedure instead of actually finding the fraud. And that's what we pay the Auditor General for, provincially and federally. To go and find the fraud and the waste in government, to protect the taxpayer dollars. She didn't do that. And don't know the backstory of what happened in the last 5 days behind the scenes since the release of that report. Hopefully someday we'll find out more. But I was not satisfied with her answers in a media teleconference on September 19th to talk about that report. I even asked her why should taxpayers have any confidence in her to stand up for taxpayers, to protect taxpayers' dollars. And the first words out of her mouth were something to the effect that I'm not going to answer that question. And that's troubling. If she couldn't put a sentence or two together to defend herself, making more than $300,000 a year to run that office, then I think she signed her own warrant for departure last Thursday on that media teleconference. It was quite stunning that she'd say that.
Well, for a person making that kind of money in that kind of position, you would hope that they would be independent, or if they didn't use an independent investigation, they would give their credentials to prove why they could and should do it.
I think that she never was hired to be the fraudbuster of government. She came in here in 2014, midterm, close to midterm for the Christy Clark government, hired by the committee of the legislature, after being in Manitoba for 12 years and also spending 6 months as a city auditor in Winnipeg. I don't think they wanted someone who was going to be a pit bull. I mean, the Campbell government, but more the Clark government, didn't want people looking over their shoulders. They didn't want to be asked tough questions, whether it was from journalists like me or the legislative watchdogs. They wanted to do things themselves. They didn't want to be second-guessed. They didn't want to have advice from either smarter people than them, and they didn't want the public to know what was really going on with their money and with the people in government. That was the case. And We saw what would happen after Information Privacy Commissioner Elizabeth Denham left. They replaced her temporarily with the former Vice President of TELUS, major donor of the BC Liberal Party. Paul Fraser was Conflict of Interest Commissioner for many years. I found out that he actually donated to the Liberal Party before he was appointed, and he never found any MLA, including Gordon Campbell, including Christy Clark, never found them to have committed conflict of interest, even though the evidence was strongly in favor of them being found in conflict of interest. They didn't want, and of course Craig James, who was hired in such controversial fashion by the BC Liberals by a vote of the legislature, instead of letting the committee run its course, it was the Liberal caucus against the NDP caucus, and the NDP got outvoted, and Craig James was named the clerk of the legislature, and look what happened after that. So this was a pattern, and Carol Bellringer is part of that pattern of the watchdogs under the BC Liberal era. Some of them continued beyond the BC Liberal era. They weren't watchdogs, they weren't bulldogs, they were just lapdogs. And Carol Bellringer, that's going to be her legacy, because we're going to look at the reports that she had a chance to do something with, like this report, and didn't exploit the opportunity to make change. It seemed as if she was almost resisting what Darryl Pluckus is trying to do, resisting the move to clean up, the move for transparency, the move for accountability of the legislature.
We'll have more with Bob Mackin right after this.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Cypress Development Corp. is developing a world-class lithium resource in the heart of Clayton Valley, Nevada. The size of the resource makes the Clayton Valley project a premier asset with the potential to impact the future of lithium supply. Cypress Development Corp. trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol CYP, the OTCQB, symbol CYDVF, and on Frankfurt, symbol C1Z1. For more information, please visit our website, cypressdevelopmentcorp.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Bob Mackin. Bob, what's the latest in the Huawei Executive Court drama?
Well, Meng Wanzhou is back in the law courts in downtown Vancouver this week. It's a hearing by her lawyers, her legal team, to try to get more evidence, more documents, more video, anything. They already have a lot. They've been able to get a lot in the past several months to make their case. The case that they're trying to make is that the Customs and Border Security officers and the RCMP were colluding to, according to their contention, to gain evidence that they could give to the FBI, for the FBI in its case someday down the road, when they hope to try her in the Eastern District of New York for fraud. That may never happen, or that may take a decade to happen, because Huawei has a very large legal budget, and they're fighting this tooth and nail in criminal court and civil court. But this hearing this week really is about that application to try to get the judge to issue an order to tell the federal government to find more documents if they exist. And those documents, it's part of, court trials based on previous Supreme Court decisions that the Crown has to share its case with those that are accused, so the accused can answer to all the charges and answer to all the evidence. They seem to have a lot of evidence that shows that this may not have gone by the book at Vancouver International Airport that day. We'll hear next week from the Attorney General's lawyer, from the Crown lawyer. Surely he'll be armed with legal precedents that'll say that what happened that day at the airport in the secondary screening area was not unusual. I'm sure he'll bring some case law to the table and say that other judges have respected the job that CBSA and RCMP have to do, and that this was not unusual and that her rights were not infringed. So it'll be a different case next week, but her lawyers. That's what they say, that her constitutional rights were infringed, and that she should have been immediately arrested instead of made to wait 3 hours. Whether that washes with the judge eventually, we won't know till next year, because this really doesn't get going full speed until January, when the extradition hearing will begin.
Of course, while she's awaiting that hearing, she's staying in one of her mansions instead of prison, right?
Yes, and there's been a bit of a charm offensive. We've seen a different Meng Wanzhou in court, and different Meng Wanzhou when she's emerged from her mansion to get into her security detail SUV. Different clothes every day, very nice fashions, smiling. She's been shaking hands with photographers, and basically living life, enjoying the spotlight. But here she is in this situation where she's living in this mansion in Shaughnessy, a couple doors down from the U.S. Consul mansion, and we don't really know where Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavor are, but they're off in some Chinese prison, and their living conditions aren't the same at all. And we don't know what kind of food they're getting. We don't know if they even get any fresh air. We do know that they get to have a visit from a consular official once a month, but they don't have the ability to see their family or their loved ones. They don't have the ability to see a lawyer. They're treated terribly in that Chinese prison. And we can't forget that because of the retaliatory nature of those arrests.
We'll have more with Bob Mackin right after this.
Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlan, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the 2019 drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Bob Mackin. Bob, was there anything revealed from the yearbooks that Justin Trudeau helped put together when he was at that West Point Grace School?
Well, of course, we've seen the party photos from the Arabian Nights in 2001, the photos that had no cut lines on them. So they were hiding in plain sight because no one really knew that was Justin Trudeau behind the makeup. I've got my hands on some of the other yearbooks, and some interesting things. Justin Trudeau actually taught a class on yearbook production. So he taught the students how to produce the yearbook, and he was in so many other photos as well. Photos of him with the Ultimate Team, photos of him wearing a kilt with the Ultimate Team, photos of him with the kindergarten class wearing a kilt as well, dancing at another fundraiser. And there's also a photo of him as James Bond 007 at another one of those fundraisers with teachers and parents, which is interesting too because James Bond is kind of contrary to his image. You know, James Bond is embodies the male playboy lifestyle of danger and lifestyle of womanizing. Well, Trudeau has created this image of being this feminist, and James Bond is not a feminist character by any stretch of the imagination. So here he was back then, back in 2000 at this event, pretending to be James Bond, holding a pistol. The caption on that does say it's a water pistol, so it's not a real gun apparently. But there he was with various women, a couple of women actually hanging off his legs. So that might cause some of his fans who are feminists to question his image and whether he really is devoted to that whole persona.
Bob, thank you so much for chatting with us.
All right, thank you.
My guest has been award-winning investigative reporter Bob Mackin, publisher of thebreaker.news. Sorry if our interview with Bob's a little short. He's about to do some investigating at the BC Municipalities Convention, where one of the suites is sponsored by the Communist Chinese government. Bob, I bet you they have great food there.
Oh, we'll see. I'll just have a glass of water. That's all I'll have.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
If you have any questions for Bob, you can send them to info@howstreet.com, our YouTube channel, Talk Digital Network. Find us on Twitter @TalkDigitalNet. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.